Hey guys, I am with you here today as a follow-up to this past weekend's teaching. And if you remember, or if you didn't remember, we kind of had a weird schedule with Campapalooza in the afternoon. We did not have our normal monthly afternoon gathering on the first Sunday of the month, but I know some people, at least I think some people were planning on getting together at a coffee shop to watch the teaching and to talk through the questions, while others were just going to catch it online and catch up. So this is kind of like I've had to change my frequency for now. I don't know if this is a permanent change or just temporary. But in terms of these podcasts or these follow-ups and continuing the conversation, this is the one for this week as of right now. Maybe there'll be another one. I don't really know. But I do want to lean into this past week's teaching on the word symbolic in the letter S from our acronym house. One of the things I did not include in the video was actually the challenge or the homework assignment, if you will, for the week. Or how to put into practice what we're talking about as symbolic. But if you think about it, this is something that we've been talking about for a while, for a number of years now, of what to practice. Because what I was going to share or encourage or challenge us to do for this week was to choose one neighbor or somebody else that has a need and bless them this week. And you could do this like on your own individually, or as a family, or between multiple people coming together, like as partners and as a community, whatever it might be. But the heart behind this was we leaned this last week or this past Sunday into how the church is the hands and feet, is the physical representation and physical embodiment of Jesus here on earth. That's how the church is created to be. That like when Saul was persecuting Christians before he surrendered his life to Jesus as King and Lord and Savior, Jesus knocked him off his donkey and off his animal and said, "Why are you persecuting me?" And excuse me, I think like there's a lot to unpack with that, but I'm not going to do so in this. And then we lean into the text from 1 John. It talks about no one's seen God. And then John uses this interesting phrasing of saying, but if we love and live in that love, then love is perfected in us, for God is love. Like there's a combination of text there, so it's not a pure quote. I'm sorry, I don't have it right in front of me right now. But the idea here was that like by living out the love that God has, you physically embody as a representation or as a representative of Him, so that people encounter Him through you. And so I felt like that really connected to the idea from Bells that we have been on and off talking about and trying to practice and encourage each other in through our small groups or our direction groups, of like the B from the term or acronym Bells. Man, there's acronyms all over the place in this thing. But the letter B was for bless. And so what we talked about was try to bless 3 people over the next week or so, one of whom is a part of the church, one of whom is not, and then the third one being another one who's not part of our church or the church, or another one who is. But for the homework for this one, I just simply took it even further down a step and just said, choose one neighbor or person who has a need and try to meet that, try to bless them. And don't just jump to like the high ticket items. Well, so-and-so needs a new car. Well, you can't go buy a new car, like that don't jump straight to that. Be creative. Like you were given a brain and you are supposed to be exercising it. And so like the idea is like, there's tons of people that are wrestling with stress and wrestling with fear and wrestling with all kinds of things. So how can you meet a need to alleviate some of that? I'll give you one example. Maybe there is a neighbor who's struggling with loneliness, or maybe there's a neighbor that's just having a really hard time. And so what meeting a need at that is giving them a space to share openly, to maybe have some reprieve. And so maybe just inviting them over to dinner, to like, you're making a dinner for you or for your family or whatever else. And if the weather's nice, maybe you're grilling out and you just say, you know what, come join us and eat a burger with us. And just like, if you want to talk about your week, cool. I'm here to listen. If you don't, that's fine. We can talk about something else and just enjoy each other's company and provide a place of camaraderie, of fellowship, and a safe space to not have to be constantly reminded or bombarded by the stress. That's just one example, but that goes a long way. And so how does that connect with Symbolic? Well, because in that moment, you are connecting with them and sharing with them love to help meet enter into their mess, if you will, or enter into their strife, their struggle, to extend kindness and shalom and agape love to them in that moment. So that was what was going to be the takeaway, the challenge, the homework for this week. And I did not share that, so my bad. But that was the whole thing I meant to share with you. But this next week, what's upcoming for this is our last letter. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is. So if you're listening to this, you have a head start. I might have already said this anyway, so maybe you don't have a head start. It's just a reminder. It's the letter E for enduring. And so we're going to be finally finishing this Back to Basics series together with the term enduring and leading into what that looks like. But specifically, I think this one honestly could potentially have a challenging, and I don't mean that like, look, there goes Pat again, trying to give us a lot of homework or whatever. But like truly, I think with the word enduring, as we'll talk about, as we process together, this might be very well be the hardest thing for us to unpack, or maybe not unpack, but it's going to be the hardest thing, I think, at least what I see in my life and the life of our church and the life of American Christianity that I've encountered. This might very well be the hardest thing to actually put into practice, because it can be hard, it can be challenging, it will require us to step outside of our comfort zone, but that is the nature of what the heart is for that Jesus has for his church. And to really lean into this word enduring. And so that's where we're going to be this week. And I hope that you guys are processing through this. If you haven't already, I also handed out these little devotional books that we're going to go through together. I'm not going to follow up every single day, but there is something that on a daily, it's really short, but a devotional book through the month of June, as you've hopefully been processing and working through your rule of life, or your rhythm and rule, just picking 3 things to practice and really lean into. That will actually tie into this week's too, actually, by the way, for enduring. So if you haven't had a chance to do those or haven't done it, go to our website and go to our discipleship, DC Discipleship, and there's a drop down for Rule of Life, and definitely go check that out. Download the PDF and process, pray, and work through that so you can join us as we kick these things off. I would love to hear about some of the things you're doing. You don't have to. That's not a demand, but I think it'd be kind of cool for us to share that with one another, saying, hey, over the next three months, over the quarter of the year, or the next month, or whatever frequency you've decided at, here's what I'm going to do to practice or lean into the part of communion or community or commission or something like that. So anyway, I'm going to get off here because you probably can hear my kid yelling in the background. He does have his volume meter is broken, so I'm sorry about that. But I love you guys. I hope you're doing well, and if you need something, let me know. I might not be able to respond right away because I'm in and out of meetings and all kinds of stuff, but I will get back to you as soon as I can. And if that's it, I guess I will see you hopefully on Sunday, or when I see you. Take care.